Hi everyone, Nicholas here for another episode of Transportation Talks, and today I am with Jamie Cooke from Loudoun County Department of General Services, the Deputy Director. And I guess we'll start off, just want to give us a little bit of, about your background, how long you've been with the county and stuff.
Right. So my background goes pretty far back in transportation. So I started in the private sector, and I worked about 12 years at UPS. So I was delivering. I was one of those brown truck guys.
Oh, nice. I got two friends who work for UPS.
Yeah. So started as a driver, ended up in management, and then at a certain point went and was an executive for a logistics company, still in the trucking environment.
Okay.
And then came to the government, and then in the federal government is where I started working on the transit side, where I was in managing the smart card for the transit subsidy. Yeah. So that's how my transit, and I also had shuttle operations around the country at our regional offices for the Health and Human Services. So that was my first taste of going from trucking to transit, and moving passengers instead of freight. But the optimization and the technical side of it's very similar with routes and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And then I went to Montgomery County. I was their chief operating officer.
Okay.
So my career, I've had different things under me. It's not just transit. I usually have facilities. You always have had fleet, logistics, warehousing, and trucking. So I have a whole portfolio of areas of concentration, but I think I'm the most passionate about the logistics side with transit, and that's where I'm happy to still be doing that here at Loudoun County, because we have big plans there.
Yeah, so I guess, can you give us an overview, too, of what Loudoun County is doing in regards to transit?
Yeah, so Loudoun County, we got 30 local routes. We feed, some of those routes feed into the 3 metro stops that are relatively new for WMATA to grow the Silver Line. And then we have commuter routes that take an expedite route into D.C. We go into the Pentagon and other locations in the D.C. area to get people into D.C. Mm-hmm. And that's a morning and after late evening route that brings people in and out of the city for commuters. We also have paratransit, which is growing. That service immensely. All of our services are growing, but paratransit more in a steeper trend line. And we're going to grow on that. We have a pilot coming out that's going to be another microtransit option, which is going to be on demand, and that'll be zone-to-zone transportation off an app on a phone. It's been successful in different parts of the country, and we're going to do it here at Loudoun County. We're going to pilot that this fiscal year, so by July. And then we're going to grow the commuter bus route in a pilot where we're actually going to bring people into the county, which we feel is good for the economy and for our employers there to bring talent in as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a commuter bus route that comes from Dale City into the county.
Okay, I was about to ask where.
And then also Frederick, Maryland.
Okay.
We did study other locations, Winchester, Warrington, a whole list of locations, and we found through the study they were the best 2 locations, and we'll be moving forward with that in 2026.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes.
So a lot of new stuff coming down the pike. You mentioned the paratransit. It's a new app you guys are implementing for the. Is it like a door-to-door service?
It won't be door-to-door like paratransit. It'll be zone-to-zone.
You said that,
right? So you'll have virtual bus stops or actual bus stops where people will go on the app and say, "I'm at Zone 4, and I want to go to Zone 5," and then we would have a smaller bus go, or really a van. We're going to use hybrid vans initially, and then we have game changer vans ordered that will be EVs. And they're a smaller chassis, so we can get into the neighborhoods without any problems.
Gotcha. And then I guess, so are you guys implementing new electric bus options and stuff as well?
Yeah. So we just got our first BEBs in, our 2 electric buses. They went into service actually last Monday. So we brought it over to see the board of supervisors who made the investment. They're 2 Gillig 35-footers. We have the charger infrastructure in place. So we're going to pilot them, see how they work out. We think we're very confident they'll be fine. Looking at our routes, they could service about 60% of our routes, which is a lot of routes.
Yeah.
But we're expanding with, like I said, the EVs, the 350 on a Ford 350 chassis. where we're going to have EVs for our paratransit now.
Right.
And then the hybrids will be the initial van that we use for the on-demand, but we'll eventually dual-use assets. So our paratransit vans will be able to use for paratransit and on-demand.
And
that way
on-demand.
it keeps costs down. We don't need as many
That's smart,
assets.
yeah.
So that's the direction we're going in. So we're doing a lot of cool things in Loudoun County.
Nice. What else you guys, I guess, are thinking about doing or working on?
Well, yeah. We're exploring BRT with some of the other entities in Virginia. Now, BRT is a challenge. We're in a rural area where if you look at the map, there's not a lot of roads that are straight in Loudoun County.
Yeah.
And BRT is a great transit option to get people to a location. I think it really helps people get to job centers in areas that are more transit dependent. And we can get them to better jobs. The challenge with BRT in the area is the road network. Because for BRT really to be efficient, you need those dedicated lanes. The bus stops are different, so they're bigger.
Yeah.
You need more real estate. And BRT, the real estate's the big challenge. But we're trying to work through that. It's just something that's preliminary that we're looking at conceptually. But it is an option that I think could help. Now, to mitigate the lack of BRT, that's why we're expanding the commuter route service, because that is a form of getting people to jobs faster.
And you kind of, I think you touched on it already a little bit, but like just the cross-jurisdictional components of it, like you're trying to bring more people in the county. So like you see yourselves, like, I guess, creating new routes, and like how does that work with more, I guess, cross-jurisdictional
Well, I
travel?
think we need. We talk to the other counties about what we're doing and what they're doing, and I think we do a good job. I think we can do a better job. I think that DMV Moves is trying to facilitate that, more of a centralized approach. And I think that regardless of what happens at DMV Moves, there's a lot of action planning going on there, and there's decisions to be made above me. However, I think the value of that is it's really letting us cross-functionally start discussions with other counties and building dialogue and networking and sharing what we're all doing in these meetings.
Nice. And I think you'd mentioned too, I guess, a fare service wise, if any changes were going on with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did go fare free in January, except for the commuter bus routes. You still pay a fee for the commuter bus routes. We wanted to go fare free. We feel we have a lot of transit dependent communities that would help out with. It's good for the economy, and I think it'll grow ridership, which in turn will grow WMATA Metro's ridership, because more people will ride our buses to get to the metro.
Have you seen, I guess, a change in ridership so far?
Yeah, we started marketing last year, and we've seen it. The trend is moving upward. We're heading back to pre-pandemic levels, which is promising. But like I said, paratransit's going through the roof. The amount of orders that we've gotten is substantial compared to previous years.
Are there certain parts of the county you see it more in, or I guess with that?
No, I think it's across
pretty
the board.
much across the board.
Right.
Okay. Huh. I think other questions I might have. Anything else I might be missing? Anything else like going on?
Well, I think another challenge is the elephant in the room. We in the transit community, we can have the best of plans, and we could have the perfect buses, and we can have everything that's that the routes are perfect, they're optimized.
Yeah.
What is going to impact us if something's not done in the near future, and we're trying to do something that's new, we don't have the drivers. The CDL drivers aren't out there. Okay, so we're short operators. If you talk to every transit agency, they're struggling with the CDL drivers. Talk to trucking companies, they're having the same struggles. And then once you go past the operators, well, who's fixing the buses? There's a shortage of technicians and mechanics. So and buses are getting more advanced with.
I was going to ask, you almost need like an IT person, because software.
You need IT.
Right?
You need high voltage work now because of it. And now you have hydrogen buses coming.
Oh wow.
You have CNG, you have diesel, you have a lot of different powertrains that these mechanics are expected to work on. So it's getting more technical, more challenging, with less talent pool, with more demand, because everyone's growing.
Is that like a post-COVID thing? Like people are just
No, I think it goes back to my generation. I think we were told you go to college. If you don't go to college, you're not really going to be successful. I think that's the answer
Right,
that happened years ago. But I think there's a reverse in that the trades are now valued as a great career path, which they are. It's not just mechanics either. We're short plumbers, we're short HVAC, we're short electricians, so they take care of the depots.
Yeah.
So you see where we're going with this. We're already short, and we're aging out in those fields. Now, what Loudoun County's doing, and others are as well, we're starting apprenticeship programs. So we have a preliminary plan, a white paper, and so forth to start vetting through the process at Loudoun County to start an apprenticeship program where we can have these people that will come from the Academy of Loudoun, because our school system has a great academy that starts the base of trades and other concentrations that we can go and hire people on as apprentices. I think that's the path to fix this, and we're on that path at Loudoun County, and I know Montgomery County was doing the same thing with their mechanics. So there's other people doing it, and I actually Fairfax Schools does it because we've talked to them. They do a great job of it. So I think the solution's already out there, but it's going to take a couple years to catch up.
It's going to be a bit, yeah, that's interesting.
Right.
Because I guess people don't think, we're not at the point of autonomous.
It's getting close, though. It's getting close. You're going to call for a plumber soon, and they're going to be like, I'll be out in 3 months. And you're going to be like, all right, I better YouTube this one and try to fix it, right? Let's go to Home Depot and YouTube it.
That's me all the time. It always turns into a five trip to Lowe's.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I'm probably at 7 for my trips. At least that's what my wife tells me.
Dwindle it down. But that's interesting though. Just generational wise too. It's like same thing with millennials. My generation, like it was just go to college. Just see, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be actually making more of an impact if I went to the trade school.
Well, I think they're both great paths. But there's not.
I think too many people
answers.
too went one direction and we lost.
We lost in the trades, and a lot of the technical schools closed down, but now they're coming back. So I think we're on the right path. It's just going to take a couple years to catch up, and we'll be okay. But I wanted to bring that up because it's kind of in the shadows, and people don't think about that. They think, get a bus, get a driver, and fix the route, and you're good. It's not that easy.
Right.
You need that. You need a great staff of not just drivers, but to the technical people that are going to take care of the equipment and the facilities.
And I guess do you think that the desire to try transit is kind of back post-COVID as well? Like more people are interested in
it. The trend, they're coming back. I think some areas they're already back as far as the ridership, but it's definitely coming back. As you know, the federal government, current events is changing their policy or use of telework. I don't really know what that means. I think the impact of that will be over the next 6 months, and ridership will go up because of that. So I think that'll impact this some that we're keeping an eye on, and I know all transit agencies are. But we'll make the adjustments we need so that our riders are still get the same level of service.
Yeah, I think we've already just seen that too with some of our employers that we work with. Just kind of adjusting to like, okay, we have contractors and stuff, and we need to start getting more people in the office.
It's going to change
well. So it'll be interesting because it seems like the traffic generally in the whole region kind of died down a little bit, and then it kind of went back up post COVID. And now it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to get more again.
Yeah,
it's like, oh no, it's going to get worse.
We're going to find out, right?
Like we were talking a little bit before this too. We're both out in Winchester area, so it's like it takes me like an hour and a half just to get out here.
I'm driving right next to you.
When I
come in
got
from,
there. Yeah, so I was doing a van pool for a little bit, but it's like I know the Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Commission over in Front Royal just started a new bus service coming out to the DC. Right. And I know they're talking about another one, maybe going through Route 7 through Loudoun County.
Right, conceptually, same thing that we do. And it's a great idea, and I think that'll help. We're going to have to do those things to keep people off the road. It decreases congestion, which isn't good for anybody. Obviously, the use of fuel goes down, and then, of course, emissions. So I think what I think is promising coming from Montgomery County and now Loudoun County. Montgomery County was the county council. At Loudoun County, it's the board of supervisors. I've seen a change over the past 10 years that the people in those positions that are making the strategic decisions for counties, they value transit. Like before, it was kind of like, it's a bus. What's it really do? They understand. I see they really, because they give us support, and I see their decisions to put us in a position to succeed. That they understand transit can impact the economy. It impacts congestion.
Right.
It impacts your overall life because less traffic, less stress, gets people to jobs. Emissions, cleaner air.
Right. And you can only make the roads so wide. Like,
yeah,
at some point, like, you know.
Well, we'll start building up. I guess we're underground. I don't
we'll
know.
just start layering them.
Yeah. Well.
Right. But I mean, I guess what I was thinking too is like, when most people went to full-time telework, a lot of people are like, well, I don't need to live here necessarily anymore. I can live farther away and get cheaper, housing and stuff. So I feel like a lot of people have moved farther away from the core. And now with like a return to work, it's like people are like, okay, now I gotta somehow
that's why
adjust
I think, but that's why I think the commuter service concept will, and even
exactly.
BRT, will become more valuable and more of a tool in transit. I think transit's, it's probably because of my fleet background and facilities background. You have a tool belt, you have a hammer, you have a screwdriver, you have a wrench. Transit's the same way. You have different tools. A lot of people think, well, it's got to be this bus type. No, you have all different tools that you need to look at your environment, and it's different everywhere. We're a little bit more rural out in Loudoun County than, let's say, Arlington.
Right.
They're going to use different tools than we use
Exactly.
to get people around, and I think you have to have an open mind when you're in that leadership position to understand that.
Yeah, it's like, it was interesting because having previously worked out in Winchester area, which I considered more rural when I came out here, it was interesting to hear people discuss like, oh, we just don't have enough infrastructure. Like, what do you mean? Like, you have so much over here.
Well, Winchester does a great job with the on-demand. They have a program out there for on-demand. They were one of the ones that we studied to try to figure out how are we going to do it. And they were nice enough to meet with us. And that's what's great about the transit community. Everyone is open to helping each other, which is really
They just
great.
recently started that.
About
maybe a
little over a year ago.
I guess it's been a bit.
Yeah, it's probably 2 years
now.
Yeah, I think they're through their pilot, but they were wonderful with us understanding the app because there's going to be a technical piece of it, which we think we understand that now, and then the routing and the zones and how you want to go about it. Because again, on demand can be done different ways.
Right, and I guess it's that move to incorporating like that micro transit option. It's not just we have to have big buses all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
And guess what? Like they were using They use shuttles in areas. They won't work in Loudoun County because we have these small historic neighborhoods, and that's why we're going with the 350 chassis because we can get in there and move around these transit dependent communities. There's communities that really rely on transit more so than others. Other communities they might have 3 cars in the driveway. There's other communities that don't, and they really need that lifeline of the transit. So we want to go into those neighborhoods with on-demand and then get them either to our normal network or to where their job is.
Because beforehand, for them to get to the regular network they'd been like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to bother. I have to.
They got to walk 12
there.
blocks.
I got to walk. I'm not going to bike in the cold or something, right?
So
and even if you have 3 cars in the garage, still, I mean, to have the option and not have to pay for parking or something if you're going all the way.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. But we did put our priority there. We're still figuring out where the virtual stops will be, what communities. But the transit-dependent communities really weighted high. We looked at other things too, obviously, logistically of where it would be the best thing. But we'll go back to our board of supervisors, kind of give them the options, and they can tell us, hey, this is where we want you to pilot it, or they can, go off our recommendation, and then we'll pilot it, and then we'll make a decision if we're going to expand. I think the pilot will go very well.
Nice. So when are you guys starting that?
I'm charged to start it this fiscal year, which means July. So that's why I don't have hair, because I used to have hair until they gave me that. No, we'll get it done. The biggest challenge really is, and it's something that you're doing, like you're communicating about
getting
transit.
The word out there, right?
We got to get the word out and training. So we got to teach people how to use an app. And some of these people aren't millennials used to picking up their phone and pulling an app up. Like, they're not used to that. So we got to get people comfortable
The next
with that.
generation, you can't get them off there.
Yeah, well... Yeah, you all will be on Fusion buses by then. Yeah. So,
well, we might have a chip in our head by then. We'll see how.
I won't be around for that
one. Awesome. Yeah. No, that's all great. Am I missing anything that you might have to touch on? Maybe that I'm not thinking of.
No, I think we touched everything. I think we touched on some of the challenges. The last challenge I would bring up, and this is a national challenge. A lot of us we're under a Buy America when we buy buses. Okay, there's only 2 OEMs left. They're both great. They have a great product, but we need more competition there. because they're having the same issues with the trades as we are.
Right.
So when you order buses, it took us 2 years to get our battery
wow.
electric buses. So you have that production line issue now. And again, so if you think about it, if we don't have technicians, but we can't replace the buses, Tommy, now you're working with older buses that break down more. You see where I'm getting at? So the OEM is another issue that it's more of a national issue above my pay scale that I hope people get focused on to try to figure out either how to help these OEMs who are good American companies, or make it competitive enough, because we've had a few go out of business, and we had one move back up to Canada and not doing business here anymore. So someone needs some focus on that, and maybe it's commerce, maybe it's someone else, but it's above me.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, it's not just the bus drivers and the people fixing, but it impacts the whole logistical chain. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks
come
for
on
having us.
and having you guys on. So thank you guys for tuning in again for another episode of Transportation Talks, and we'll be back for another episode soon. So thank you.
Thank you.